mean, if you do simple math, say like, okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company.
Biology obviously has a significant role to play in any kind of permanent Mars base or city. I mean, for SpaceX, we're trying to make sure we can get people there reliably at a cost they can afford, and get cargo there at the right cost number. Because there's kind of a threshold cost per ticket or cost per ton to the surface of Mars, below which a self-sustaining city can develop and above which it cannot. That sort of critical sort of economic and technical threshold is what we're focused on at SpaceX. I think we'll probably also have to do a fair bit of work on propellant depot, basically a propellant plant on Mars. But then our intent is to, we don't want to get in the way of what others are doing. Like, we want to make sure that, let's say if somebody makes an investment and wants to do something on Mars, create a business or do some scientific endeavor, that SpaceX does not compete with them, because they need to feel like, okay, we're not going to just go in and compete with them arbitrarily. We want to make sure that they feel it's going to be a fruitful environment to go there and do something special. So our focus is going to be on transport, kind of the fundamental utilities, survivability, and we'll do more if we need to do more, but we want to make sure that lots of people can go and do all sorts of things on Mars or the Moon and not feel like SpaceX is going to do anything but try to help them. We don't want to interfere or compete. They're going to feel like the opportunity is there.
Entrepreneur and tech innovator Elon Musk has undoubtedly been at odds with the world around him throughout his career. When you find yourself down, never count yourself out. Fight the odds and become something greater. When you think the cards are stacked against you, take into consideration the goals of Musk's company, SpaceX. SpaceX is attempting to do the seemingly impossible task of providing safe, economical transport to and from Mars. The logistics alone are astounding. Fuel-to-weight ratios, infrastructure, and the colonization of an entirely new planet, just to name a few. Add in the fact that Elon has no intentions of competing with science and industry on an occupied Mars, and the outlook does indeed seem grim. What odds are you facing up against? Take inspiration and don't be afraid to try, even if it seems impossible at the time. Take the risk while you can, because the longer you wait, the harder it will become. Spend your time and money on things that matter, instead of antiquated ideas that will never allow you to see the return on your investment. Ask yourself if what you are doing is making a positive impact in the long run. And of course, make sure that whatever product you are offering is the greatest that it can possibly be. Even if your product isn't a physical good, make sure that you are executing it in a way that is as perfect as possible. In a highly competitive world, you need to stand out amongst the competition. And no matter what, when you face what seems like impossible odds, never give up and fight.
Now is the time to take risk. You don't have kids. As you get older, your obligations increase. So and once you have a family, you start taking risk not just for yourself, but for your family as well. It gets much harder to do things that might not work out. So now is the time to do that before you have those obligations. So I would encourage you to take risks now, do something bold. You won't regret it. You focus on signal over noise. A lot of companies get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. For example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all of the money into R&D and manufacturing and design to try to make the car as good as possible. I think that's the way to go. For any given company, just keep thinking about, are these efforts that people are expending, are they resulting in a better product or service? And if they're not, stop those efforts. I look at the future from a standpoint of probabilities. It's like a branching stream of probabilities.
And there are actions that we can take that affect those probabilities, or that accelerate one thing or slow down another thing, or introduce something new to the probability stream. Sustainable energy will happen no matter what. If there was no Tesla never existed, it would have to happen out of necessity. It's tautological. If you don't have sustainable energy, it means you have unsustainable energy. Eventually you'll run out, and the laws of economics will drive civilization towards sustainable energy, inevitably. The fundamental value of a company like Tesla is the degree to which it accelerates the advent of sustainable energy faster than it would otherwise occur. So when I think what is the fundamental good of a company like Tesla, I would say hopefully it does. If it accelerated that by a decade, potentially more than a decade, that would be quite a good thing to occur. That's what I consider to be the fundamental sort of aspirational good of Tesla. Then there's becoming a multi-planet species and spacefaring civilization. This is not inevitable. It's very important to appreciate this is not inevitable. The sustainable energy future, I think, is largely inevitable, but being a spacefaring civilization is definitely not inevitable. So you've got to make sure that whatever you're doing is a great product or service. It has to be really great. And I go back to what I was saying earlier, where if you're a new company, unless it's like some new industry or new market that, if it's an untapped market, then you have more ability to, the standard is lower for your product or service. But if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. So a lot of times, an entrepreneur will come up with something which is only slightly better. And it can't just be slightly better. It's got to be a lot better.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.